Hey little Pop-Tarts. Ranni here.
September 16th, 2023
was the day we participated with Waifu in our first Elden Ring PvP tournament, hosted by End of the Line on Twitch, exclusively for South American players and scoring the 3rd place. It may not be much, but it's honest work. For those of you who still don't know, I'm keeping Waifu hostage in Argentina, the land of football, asado, Messi and unalived prosecutors. That was an inside joke, don't think too much of it. The experience was rather unique, and unlike anything we've experienced before regarding Souls PvP, clearly a lot of work was put behind the curtains from the PvP enthusiasts to achieve such level of polish. Things like custom maps, tournament HUDs, extensive PvP rules and regulations, and a sense of organisation were put together to ensure an awesome experience for the people that love to kick their teeths in with each other all the time in Elden Ring. But how did all of this come to be? Some of you may have played Elden Ring PvP before, some of you may have only played PvE, and some of you might not even have played Elden Ring yet. But regardless of your current background, I am pretty sure that most of you most likely know that the game has a mode where you can rock your socks with other gamers to the death in a bloody mighty battle of legend. Some of you may have watched the Twitch Rivals edition of an Elden Ring PvP tournament, an event that came to portray the duality of man in its video reviews. Regardless of its presentation, it's a reality that Elden Ring has a PvP mode and it's engaged on a daily basis by a big part of the community, voluntarily or not. If you feel like you want your PvP experience with someone else to be more personal, there's always the option of engaging in mighty combats in the arena, where a small set of restrictions are in place, such as limited time for the match and restricted use of certain items like the healing flask. The arena has a ranking system, albeit a very poor one, which gives a semblance of what could be considered Elden Ring's actual competitive mode. But the game's still lacklusting balance makes for sometimes quite a poor PvP experience, where some gamers are left with bad taste on their mouths and very little hair follicles on their head due to encountering players with really broken setups or poor sportsmanship. This entails that our current means of officially playing a competitive mode in Elden Ring are still pretty far from being good enough for the vast majority of the player base to truly enjoy playing PvP. Since invasions are very difficult for the PvP newcomer and dueling in the arena is oftentimes seen as a meaningless endeavour with no incentive to keep engaging in it, most of the player base right now just opt out of PvP entirely. But humans are competitive by nature. You want to stand out on top of everybody and you want to feel like you're the best at what you do. And I say you because I'm no human. I'm a doll. The issue, though, is that not everyone can take the pressure of competition, and sometimes the burning passion of wanting to stand out cannot overcome the stress and anxiety of possible failure. However, there is a small percentage of players that love to PvP more than your average Elden Ring gamer, and they've come together to form a small community of PvP lovers that like taking experience to the next level. Enter the Elden Ring Competitive PvP Community Discord server. The way PvP matches are handled in here are quite different from your regular arena match. Of course, you have your channel to arrange casual PvP matches, but the most interesting feature of the server is the leaderboard PvP section. In here, you can challenge someone to a ladder duel which abides by a special set of rules in order to have a more fair and interesting PvP experience. The rules are as follow. First, you use the /challenge command to challenge someone to a duel. Then you choose an arena of your liking between the arenas in the Den Maps MOD made specifically for these type of duels. The modded maps are very well designed and are much better than the official arena in every regard, as in they are way smaller and actually have corners to prevent constant running. In case you are on console, you have to choose one of the approved locations for dueling, such as this Stormvale area. Once in the arenas, both you and your opponent bow, and then the duel begins. The first to win 3 matches wins the ladder duel, but you can't just go into the duel using whatever you want. There are specific bans and conditions that you have to follow in order to legally compete. First, your character has to be level 125. No more, no less. Your weapons have to be upgraded to the max, and changing your stats or swapping characters during a match is not allowed. Furthermore, there's a list of banned items that you also need to follow. The most important to point out maybe is the banning of setups such as double spears, full-on weapons like Clean Rot Knight's sword, Estoc and Noble's Esther, Ashes of war such as Bloodhound Step Endure, Raptors of the Mist and Storm Stomp, equipment and talismans that regenerate health and much more. And of course, any kind of glitch is completely banned. I won't go into specific details of why the banned things are, well, banned, since there are plenty of them and I'd have to explain why they're considered broken. But as a general consensus, we can say that these items, Ashes of War and weapons, tend to create a more unbalanced PvP experience, hence their removal. Once the matches are done, you report them in the server, and you start climbing that leaderboard. Currently, the #1 player on PC is someone that goes by the nickname of Vomit, pretty fitting for Soul's PvP.
次にお前は
でもラニー、なぜこれが重要なのですか?
という
Well, my little Pepsi can. This is important because Elden Ring tournaments are held with the ladder rules in mind. If you want to compete in these tournaments, you need to understand the ladder rules. And now that you understand them, you do understand them, don't you?
No.
Anyway, let's now see what a competitive Elden Ring PvP tournament looks like. First of all, the bracket is set like in any other tournament, in a 1 versus 1 match. One of the 2 participants gets to choose one of the arenas available, either in the Den Maps mod or in an area of the game, depending on the platform. Players are encouraged to use Morgoth's Great Rune for the extra HP, but it's not a rule per se, so if you forgot it, that's completely on you, big boy. They would then step on designated spots on each end of the arena to wait for the signal to start the match. They would drink their physic flasks and engage in combat while the host of the tournament would float the camera around to have different types of shots for cinematic effect. In the HUD, you can see the life bars of the players as well as their equipped talismans in order to keep track of what they're swapping to, because in high-level matches, people tend to switch talismans here and there depending on the situation. Depending on what instance of the tournament we're in, the fights will be determined by the first player to win a certain amount of matches. For the first round, it's going to be 2, for the second round it's going to be 3, and so on and so on. In this particular tournament, there was no loser bracket or a second chance to keep playing unless you got to the semi-finals, which in the case of a loss would let you play for the bronze match. This is where Waifu scored his 3rd place. Being a tournament, even though most of the broken weapons and setups in the game were banned, you would see what the actual meta for 1 versus 1 duels is. Things like halberds, shamshir, double straight swords, great swords, double great spears, and many more were used all across the tournament. Some players opted for more off-meta setups like Giza's Wheel and Bloody Helis, but this is not the place to use your wholesome Chungus ballsack only build, even though someone actually used the ballsack in a match, because that would be putting yourself on a clear disadvantage. Even Waifu had to wear big chonky armor and a helmet, something he rarely ever does. But every bit of help is needed when the competition is fierce. Everyone is out to win with a knife between their teeth, so you have to give it your best to stay on top. And that feeling is great, similar to what Goku must feel when he fights strong opponents. I know, weeb alert. But even though great passion is involved, some people fall prey to performance anxiety. It is not the same to fight in a practice match in your friend's fight club than to be under the spotlight in front of someone who's out to get you. Overall, the experience was very good. Aside from the nice outcome of having scored 3rd place, it was nice and refreshing to see that even though a huge portion of the player base really dislikes PvP and thinks it's just a meaningless side mode of the game, there's a whole big community that keeps it alive in very interesting ways. Perhaps with time and enough work, we can actually have FromSoft to make the PvP scene as polished as these awesome people are trying to get it to be, and actually get more gamers to be interested in the PvP aspect of the game. It might be reaching a bit too far, but it's definitely something worth striving for. The winner of the tournament was Legion, which was Waifu's executioner in the winner bracket, and is also the 3rd best ranked player in the competitive ladder. But that's not going to discourage any of these warriors from trying to win the next tournament. PvP players are going to keep trying to become better and win as time goes on. That's the passion, your human desire to stand out at work, and we all have it. So if you've been thinking about engaging in PvP for the first time, try and give it a go. When you lose, don't let it discourage you. Don't let the circumstances make you think PvP is unfair or that you're no good. If you try it and you don't like it, that's okay. However, if you tried it and you enjoyed it, but you think you don't have what it takes, don't give up. Keep fighting and let your passion fuel your desire to improve. I know you have what it takes, so keep being awesome. And, as always, thanks for watching. Be sure to drink your daily 2 liters of water.